السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته داوديال هالكني ودلمر تي في كسو دوادا برنامج كنا سهن شو وهذا كلا عد كدا وطن دلمر تي في وانا برنامج مركز تا انكو اغنو وحيابها مركزي ugu muhiimsan ee ka taagan dunida dacaladeeda gaar ahaan waxyaabaha quseeya dadkeena Soomaaliyeed hadii ay noqon lahayd kuwa ku nool qurbaha iyo waliba kuwa ku nool dalka gudihiisa sida arrimaha siyaasadda bulshada iyo waliba arrimo kale fara badan iyadoo sidoo kale barnaamijka xitaa mararka qaar ay qayb ka noqdaan arrimaha madadaalada daawadayaal barnaamijkeenan maanta waxa aanu ku eegi doonaa waxa si adag amaba xoog leh u socda ololaha doorashada loogu tartamayo duqa magaalada Columbus ee anagu aanu ku noolnahay ee stuudiyaheena uu ku yaalo iyadoo aan ognahay magaalada Columbus inay degan yihiin kumanaan Soomaali ah oo aad u fara badan isla markaana kamid ah dadka codadka laga doonayo isla markaana qayb ka noqon kara isbedelada siyaasadeed ee magaaladan marka ay noqoto hogaanka duqa magaalada iyo waliba doorashada golayaasha deegaanka daawadayaal sida aan la socono waxa markaasi loo baahan yahay in dadkeena Soomaaliyeed ay qayb ka noqdaan waa Somali Americanka isla markaana ay u soo baxaan doorashada iyo waliba sidoo kale macnaha ay u yeelan karto marka ay codeeyaan iyo marka aysan codeeyin hayeeshee qaybteena barnaamijka ayaa waxa aanu ku eegi doonaa waraysi aanu la yeelanay mid ka mid ah musharaxiinta u tartamaysa xilka duqa magaalada Columbus oo la filayo horaanta bisha November ee soo socota in ay ka qabsanto magaalada Columbus daawadayaal sida aad la socotaan waxa markaasi uu ka mid yahay ama uu ka mid yahay musharaxan Master Zag Scott isagu waa taliyaha booliska degmada Franklin qaybta shariifka loo yaqaano waxana uu go'aansaday in uu u tartamo isla markaana uu tijaabiyo nasiibkiisa waxana maalmahani uu waday ololo iyo waliba orod uu isleeyahay dadka uu markaasi codeyn kara waad ku soo jiidan kartaa oo ay kamid tahay bulshada Soomaaliyeed halkan stuudiyaha Dalmar TV ayuu yimid Zag oo isagu doonaya inuu la hadlo bulshada Soomaaliyeed waxana markaasi aanu halkan kula yeelanay waraysi uu kaga hadlayay dhinacyo kala duwan iyo waliba hadii uu guuleysto isbedelada laga filan karo dadka Soomaaliyeed waa muhiim in ay markaasi dhageystaan ama ay kala doortaan qofka ay isleeyihiin waad u codeyn kartaan waxana uu kamid yahay dadka tartamaya sidoo kale daawadayaal waxaanu idin keeni doonaa musharaxiin kale oo iyaguna u tartami doona isla duqa magaalada Columbus inta uu socdo doorashada waxana Dalmar TV ay ugu tala gashay in markaasi musharaxiinta ay soo bandhigaan waxa markaasi kaga aadan kaalin ahaan bulshada Somali Americanka ah ay u qaban karaan hadii ay noqon lahayd arrimaha shaqooyinka waxbarashada deegaanada wanaajinta deegaamada sidoo kale arrimaha nabadgelyada ama security-ga iyo waliba arrimaha ganacsiga iyadoo aan ognahay inay jiraan Somali badan oo ganacsato ah Somali badan oo wax baratay Somali badan oo markaasi ka faa'iideystay wadankan isla markaana iyagu doonay inay si laba jibaaraan dadaaladooda waraysiga Zag Scott oo ah madaxa booliska shariifka degmada Franklin waxa la yeeshay saaxiibkay Abdi Jaamac oo markaasi aad u taqaanaan Farxaan waxana uu wax ka weydiin doonaa qorshayaashiisa Zag marka uu guuleysto kadib barnaamijka markaasi waa barnaamijka Sahan Show oo ah markaasi barnaamij aan had iyo jeer ugu tala galnay inaan diiradda ku saarno hadba wixii taagan iyo waliba mustaqbalka dadka Soomaaliyeed waxyaabaha dan u ah iyo waliba dhibaatada markaasi taagan sida looga bixi karo markan waxaan ku soo dhaweynayaa saaxiibkay Farxaan iyo waraysigii uu la yeeshay Zag Scott iyadoo oo sidoo kale barnaamijka waraysiga ay ku jiraan dad markaasi ka qayb galay barnaamijkan oo iyagu su'aalo toos ah weydiinaya Zag Scott oo ku aadan markaasi waxyaabaha ay ka fili karaan bulshada Soomaaliyeed markana waraysiga sida uu dhacay daawasho wacan
Good evening and welcome to Dalmar TV studios. I'm Abdi Jama. It's election cycle. For the first time in 16 years, Columbus is going to have a new mayor and we have one of the candidates that is the current sheriff, Zag Scott. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you.
We want to help you and clarify each candidate's position and at the same time clarify the other issues that's on the ballot. This is an opportunity for our community to get out and to be more proactive. We don't want the business to be the same old thing. We are part of this Somali community and at the same time there's a responsibility on us that we have to do what we have to do in order for us to be part of this melting pot. My first question to you is, tell me a little bit more about yourself, how you became the sheriff.
Okay. Well, my name is Zach Scott, or Zachary Scott, but I go by Zach.
Zachary.
Yeah, Zachary, but I go by Zach. I grew up here since I was about 12, and I went to a high school down in South Side, which was called Hamilton Township, and eventually become involved in the sheriff's office. Went to school. Actually, first I was a respiratory therapist. I worked in the hospitals for a while, and I didn't like working in hospitals that much, so I ended up getting into law enforcement. And during my career in law enforcement, I worked in the jail. I worked patrol. I worked undercover, narcotics and vice. I worked SWAT. I worked homicides, and then finished my career in community relations, working out in the community. Did that for about 3 years, teaching DARE, going into schools, and just doing community involvement type activities. And then at some point my predecessor, he passed away, and then they appointed me, and then I had to run for the sheriff's office, and then was elected in 2012 as the sheriff.
You know this city very well.
I do know the city very well, that's correct.
When it comes to leadership, what is the one thing that you would change or keep that this current administration does they do?
You mean with Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
I think in some respects he's done well as far as like bike paths. And I think we have some of the bikes to go, cars to go. I think some of that is done well. I think downtown development has been decent, but unfortunately it's come at the expense a little bit of our communities. That's the problem I have with it. We use our tax dollars in the wrong way sometimes when it comes to tax abatements and tax incentives. So there are some successes in Columbus. That is true. Unfortunately, the successes have come at the expense of a lot of our neighborhoods because the tools have not been used correctly. So I think in some respects I would still be able to build on those successes that we're doing, but we're going to make sure that we actually attend and give attention to our neighborhoods and some of these areas that have been really left behind.
Would you support this idea of having a public transit fast train from airport to downtown or Polaris to downtown? I
would support it if we can afford it. And so we have to look at different avenues to try to get this. It's very expensive. I was told that going from the airport to downtown in just a circle would be $1 billion. That was the last I saw that. So what we're going to have to look at doing is make sure that we get together and bring all the stakeholders together to the table. And when I'm talking about stakeholders, I'm talking about rail companies, I'm talking about rail cart companies, I'm talking about the federal government, I'm talking about public-private partnerships, the businesses, and then we also have to bring our voters to the table. So what we'll have to do, and it's going to be a generational thing, it's going to be something we have to start putting together, making sure that we can actually develop this and something the voters want. So we'd have to do this in phases. We can't do it overnight. But we got to make sure that that's what the public wants, the voters want, because at some point there will be tax dollars involved in that. So I would like for us to put together a couple of different type of plans, look it over, see what we like about it, and then at some point we could bring it to the voters and see if that's something they want. Until then, transportation is a problem in Columbus at times because of the bus systems, and they don't always go to the different locations. Some of my vision deals with making sure that we start bringing jobs to the neighborhoods. One of the problems we have that's a transportation issue, which is also some of the issues with our carbon footprint being so large, is that we spread out so far. We've moved the jobs away from downtown. I want to say in the 30s or 40% of our jobs are starting to move away from downtown City of Columbus. So why can't we get the jobs when they're manufacturing jobs or they're advanced manufacturing jobs? Why can't we start moving them back to the neighborhoods where the people live? If we can move them back to the neighborhoods, transportation is going to start diminishing some. But not to say that we still can't look at some type of rail system, because we're going to need it, and we still need a bus system. But we can diminish some of our problems if we just pay attention to our communities and our neighborhoods. I was talking to a woman the other night who was just moved from New York to here. And she was talking about how in New York, within about a 2 to 3 block radius, you have everything you need. You have your you may work in an area, you have your produce section, you have your drugstore, you may, if you like to go to a bar, you may have your little carry-out bar, that whatever you go to, and it's all within that little section there. And those were the kind of communities I remember growing up with, that everything was real close around there. Well, we've gotten away from that. So we need some leadership to kind of bring our communities back together, whether it's, our south side or east side or the west side. We got to get our communities back together. We've gotten away from that, and we've gotten away from community schools, which has created other problems for us too.
Speaking of leadership, there are some incidents that happened in your department, Sheriff, and that is a few years back. Is that something happened under your watch, or?
I'm assuming that you're referring to Mr. Ginther's commercials.
That everybody saw that, yeah.
Right, and his commercials have been deemed by the news media, all the news medias out there, 6, 10, and 4, and the Columbus Dispatch, have deemed his commercials to be false, misleading, and incomplete. And a lot of the stuff that he's saying that I did happen under a different administration, but that's the kind of guy Mr. Ginther is.
You've been around this city almost all your life. Why would you run for mayor?
I first started looking at running for mayor because of the safety issues. I noticed that we've had a lot of safety issues last year. There was over 300 shootings in the city. The city of Columbus has a big effect on the whole Franklin County, has a big effect on suburbs, has a big effect on townships, has a big effect on the county, on incorporated areas. So I looked at it from a standpoint of safety at first, and then I saw the root problem was really it's about jobs and education. If you can address the jobs and you can address the education, you'll start reducing crime issues. So my goal was to say, okay, I'm going to run for mayor because I want to bring the right jobs here to Columbus. I want to address the schools. I want to make sure that the schools are actually producing good workforce so that the businesses will bring them to Columbus, not the Columbus region. That's what my opponent loves to talk about. The Columbus region is so great.
That.
The Columbus region is 11 different counties. Okay, the Columbus region is Delaware or maybe Dublin. Okay, and the Columbus region is doing well. Okay, that's true. But I'm running for the mayor of Columbus proper. I'm not running for the mayor of the region, 11 counties. Mr. Ginther loves to grab all the statistics from the Columbus region and talk about, oh yeah, Columbus is doing so well. Well, those are Columbus region numbers. In Columbus proper, we got 22% poverty. We got 17% working poor. Human services are needing more help when it comes to housing. We have a situation where, according to Mr. Coleman, on the United Way video, the leadership video of 2014, he said poverty's went up 70% in the last decade in Columbus. Now, I would be embarrassed to say that because he's been in charge for well over a decade. But he said 70% is how much poverty's went up. So we have a lot of issues in Columbus. We have the unemployment rate for a lot of our minority communities is 15 to 16%. In a lot of our communities too, we say we have an overall 22% poverty. Well, you can go to the east sides and you can go to the south side and you can go to some place on the west side. It's 42%, 43%. So we have to focus more on just downtown. Downtown's done well.
Speaking of leadership style, what would you do differently than the current administration?
Well, I'm going to focus on our neighborhoods. Okay. That's what I'm going to do differently. He's made some successes when it comes to downtown development. He's done it at the cost of our neighborhoods. But I'm going to make sure that our neighborhoods actually start becoming neighborhoods again. I want to make sure that our schools are actually producing kids ready to work, whatever they want to work at a new career or trade, or they want to go into college, or maybe they go to a trade and then they go to school part-time, like a lot of people do. That's the kind of stuff I'm focusing on, bringing the jobs here and fixing our education issue. Many times when it comes to crime and safety issues, if your jobs and your education are mismatched like ours are right now, what you get is you get spikes all the time, up and down when it comes to crime. Sometimes you're low, sometimes you're high. If you're able to address the real root problems of this, you get more of a steady low, then it stays more consistent. That's what I want to work on. And another big thing that I'm going to work on very hard is a ward system. And a ward system it gives our Somali communities, our African American communities, Latino communities, gives them an opportunity to have a voice for the first time from a district. And do you understand how a ward system works?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure that your viewers do, please, if you get a chance to explain that to them.
Explain.
Yes.
When it comes to poor neighborhoods, unfortunately, we went out and did a survey. Most of them lost confidence in the city council or city government.
Yep.
How would you restore that?
Well, the first thing we did was we put a new ethics policy to make sure that there's no more pay to play, to make sure that they put the confidence back in us that we're going to do things right. We're not going to take money that we shouldn't be taking, like the current administration. Their reputation is horrible when it comes to investigations. With Mr. Ginther is a target of an ethics investigation right now by the Ohio Ethics Commission. There's a whole lot of allegations surrounding him concerning the DOJ and the Red Flex camera systems that are out there, and the FBI. The scandals that he was involved with these scandals when it comes to data rigging and now the tutoring scandal. Leadership, the community's got to know that their leaders are actually doing their job. And like I've always said, I don't fault someone for doing their job and they're not maybe that successful at it. I fault people who don't do their job. Like Mr. Ginther has not done his job. He's been a city elected official for 15 years. He's had the opportunity for the past 15 years to get our Somali community more involved. Has he done it? I'm asking you the question now. No, he hasn't. He hasn't. You don't have a voice yet. We don't have anybody that's elected to city council. You know, at the sheriff's office, I've been elected 4.5 years. We graduated the first deputy sheriff Somali in the state of Ohio. The very first one. And I have 2 more going through the application process right now. I don't just talk about doing something. I make sure that we get it done. We have to make sure that the next generation of Somali individuals that are coming here or growing up here, they get a voice. We cannot let what happened this last 15 years to you, to your families. We can't let that happen. That's got to be changed, and I'm the guy to change that.
Speaking of the guy you change, are you open to the idea of having an open check?
Open checkbook? Yes, absolutely. That's the first thing we're going to do. One of the policies said we're going to come in and we're going to do open checkbook. That gives everybody a chance to get on the computer and find out exactly where their money's going, where the tax dollars being spent, and it gives everybody the opportunity to have a voice if they want to go down to city council and say, hey, I don't think you should be doing it here, or I'd like to see it there. So yes, that's more about transparency, accountability.
Let me come back to what separates your vision for Columbus under your leadership from your opponent.
I'm going to actually give our communities a voice. I'm actually going to focus on our communities, making sure they get built up. I'm going to actually do my job when it comes to bringing jobs here. And I'm actually going to address the school situation and make sure they're training a workforce that matches the jobs. I guess the biggest difference between me and my opponent, I'm going to do my job.
Speaking of education, is there a specific plan that you'd like to implement to help to fix the education system?
Yes, what we're going to do is we're going to put together a coalition of a task force, so to speak, that's going to be made up from the Chamber of Commerce, Human Services, Labor, community leaders when it comes to commissions, city council, parents, teachers, and elected officials. We're going to.
Is that a role that the mayor and city council?
They've tried to do it through the Education Commission, but I'm a different type. I'm going to be a different type of mayor. I like to lead from the front. Okay, I like to put us together. We develop our goal, and then I hold people accountable to make sure we get it done. That's what I do at the sheriff's office. It won't be unusual for me to have, because I'm the sheriff, and then under me there's 4 chiefs. Okay, and the 4 chiefs are one's in charge of jails and the courthouses. Then I have one in charge of investigations. Then I have one that's in charge of patrol, and then I have an administrative chief who's in charge of administrations. But we all get together and we do cross-training. We all know what each other's doing. I make each one of them give presentations every 6 months to where they're supposed to be, and if they don't make those goals, why not? And then we work together to figure out how to make sure that we accomplish those goals together, and then we get together again, and we see where we're on our goals, and then maybe we set new goals. So it's kind of the same thing. I want to be able to do that with a coalition of people that we're going to go to the school board and say, these are the goals, these are the benchmarks. You've got to meet these. Now, if you can't meet these, then we're going to have to take a different route.
Speaking of management, some say that you don't have the leadership skills to manage the city. The city is way different than the sheriff. Sheriffs have how many departments? 5 or 7?
Well, city's got 17 different departments.
Right.
I have 5. But the interesting thing about this, or the dynamics between me and my opponent, he's never been a chief executive officer. He's never been a CEO. Okay, he sits on city council and he votes on things. I have 1,100 employees. He has no employees. I manage over a $100 million budget. He doesn't manage any budget. He votes on it. Actually, he has little experience ever being really in a leadership position where he's ever produced anything or had to manage anything. So the difference between me and him is night and day. I've done the job. He's never done the job.
Speaking of your opponent, there's so many different accusations that's going on. What do you think the root cause of the data rigging was?
The data rigging?
Yeah, is that like
it was about money. It was all about money. That's what it was about. The data rigging was, Mr. Ginther had an opportunity. He was told about the data rigging going on. He did investigate it for like 100 hours, and then he cut the investigation off. When Mr. Saunders come back and said, should we continue this investigation? He said, it's already taken care of, don't worry about it. That was 7 years later, they found out what was going on. How many kids Did he rob them of their opportunity to have a good start in life with education or job because of his lack of leadership for 7 years? The numbers were erased, the attendance were erased, grades were erased, and all they did was get money for this, because what happens is if it looks like you're doing well, you got more bonuses and you got more money. So at the end of the day, it was about money. And it was about failed leadership. Mr. Ginther thinks that you go alone to get along. That's leadership. Everybody be friends and no one question anybody. That's not leadership. That's not even close to leadership.
Speaking of money, Somalis have more than 600 small businesses in the city of Columbus, which contributes revenue to the local economy.
Yep.
And sadly, some feel that there's economic segregation.
Okay.
Now, do you think there's an economic segregation problem within the city of Columbus?
Well, I'm sure there is, because right now we have a situation where the Columbus is second in the country in income segregation. Now, I'll explain what that means. Income segregation is the biggest gap between people who make a lot of money and who people don't make a lot of money. We're second in the country with the biggest gap for the people who have and the people who don't. So yeah, I could see that, yeah. And we've not invested in our communities. Again, it's back investing in our communities, building up our communities, making sure that the businesses are coming here, and making sure that there's jobs so they can support the small businesses.
What would you say to those individuals who are on the fence, who still have not made up their mind? Why would they vote for you?
I think there's a lot of reasons to vote for me, because I have successful leadership, okay, and that's what we need. We need some leadership that's going to turn it around. We need leadership that's going to involve our communities. Mr. Ginther has been down there for 15 years. He's had an opportunity to get our communities involved. He's not. He says he's done a lot of stuff for the communities. He hasn't. So I don't lie to our communities. I make sure that when I get there, like I have the last 4 years, we've increased our, when it comes to applications for Somalis, it's went up 50%. Latinos is 50%. African Americans 30%. I make sure that I do my job. That's the biggest difference between me and Mr. Ginther. They know that if I'm there, I take my job seriously, and I'm going to make sure that, like I said the other night, Columbus is my purpose. I'm getting in this job because the people of Columbus truly are my purpose, and I'm not going to let them down. And I think once I'm their mayor, they're going to be proud to have me as their mayor.
Well said. Well, at this time, we will take up questions from the audience if they have any questions.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Scott, for coming tonight here and listening to you about issues that you talk about. I can say maybe by 99% you'll be the winner for this race.
Thank you.
Because as we know your opponent now, how he is, and all these kind of issues that he's facing with. So I have two questions for you. Number one question is, there are many younger generation who are here in Columbus, Ohio, Somali community, who are really very not feeling very well about the job opportunities and skill that they need to build in their life. And unfortunately, some of them are moving out. Even young graduates from Ohio State, Columbus State, are moving out because of whatever somebody may call it, that either segregation or maybe lack of opportunity in Columbus, Ohio. So what will be, I mean, your position as a mayor, how those young generation and young people who are really capable of working and doing the work in the city of Columbus, how can you retain them here? That's number one question. And my second question will be, what's your connection and relationship with the Somali community?
Okay, all right. Well, to your first question is, we're going to have to make sure that we're actually bringing the jobs here. That's what we need to be doing. And that's not been going on. Unfortunately, there's, again, as we talked earlier, there's been a disconnect between the training and the jobs that are available. And there's no reason for that, because we have a lot of companies. I mean, Fortune 500 companies. We have some of the best companies in the world here, and they're not being asked to be internships. They're not asked to be bringing part of the solution for us. So my goal is to make sure that we're also matching with our colleges and making sure that the colleges and the jobs available, that we can have internships, that we can have apprenticeships, that we can make sure that we're connecting that together. But part of that's got to be a connect from the colleges, and it's got to be a connect also from high schools. So we're bringing those two together. And as far as my involvement in the Somali community, as I said before, I'd spent, before I was sheriff, I was teaching block watch groups to our Somali communities. Over in Urban Crest, I spent time. Capitol Park, I'd spent time. So I had a long relationship in community relations of already being in our communities. And then once I did become sheriff, I continued by making sure that our communities, or I'm sorry, our Somali communities had an opportunity to become part of the sheriff's office family. And that has happened. We now, like I said, we have an individual who is our first deputy sheriff, Somali. We're very proud of that. We have 2 more that's working on it. So I've involved our communities as far as being part of the sheriff's office. And we have a Somali individual who's now part of the outreach community, that, or outreach coordinator, that we've been looking for. So that's what I've been doing, and I continue to do it, and I'll continue to do it at the city.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Mr. Zach Scott, for just coming here tonight with us and giving us the opportunity to ask you questions.
Well, thank you.
And my question is going to be very brief, and it's going to be about the police. I've been in this city for like 6 years since I actually came to the United States. And I've been in 2 counts where police give citation to us Somali females who don't speak the language. They had the right of way, and they have been hit by another person who is American, who speaks the language. But because they don't understand the language, they get the citations, and they are the victims, and the guilty person gets the right decision. And as a result, it's actually creating a frustration in the community that even they don't have that much trust with the police. So if you actually win this election, of which I hope you will, what are you going to do to actually lift that barrier between the police and the community?
One of the things that I've done is put together a Somali advisory, or I'm sorry, not Somali, community advisory board, which I actually have Somali individuals on my advisory board, so that way we can address that. Again, that's back to more training that we have to have within our police agencies. But getting a voice at the table is what we have to do. This specific incident that he's referring to, I can't speak to because I don't know all the issues concerning around that. But language barrier is a problem. But one of the things, we have to have more Somalis who are becoming law enforcement officers, like we're doing at the sheriff's office. We'll do that at the city of Columbus. And my advisory board can also be a part of making sure that the training is tailored to what would be able, that the Somalis would feel comfortable with, and that the law enforcement officers feel comfortable with. So it's, again, bringing those relationships together, and we're already doing it at the sheriff's office. We're going to do it at the city of Columbus.
Shoot your question.
Good evening, Scott.
Hi.
I'm glad to meet you here. First of all, I want to thank you for all those things you have done for the Somalis.
Well, thank you.
And my question will be, I came to the city exactly the same week that Mayor Coleman was elected as the mayor of Columbus. And since then, we have been disconnected from the city as a Somali community. If you have elected and we vote for you, what kind of relationship will you going to have with the Somali community?
Well, I think past performance or past behavior is a good indication of future behavior. And what I have done in the past is involve my community. My Somali community groups have been involved with me. I have some friends that we just go have coffee and sit and talk. Now, some of it was block watch, some of it was community relations as far as teaching classes and things of that nature. But I'm going to continue. That's exactly what we have to do. I believe in doing my job. And part of my job is also making sure I put measures in place that fix some of the issues when it comes to job skills. But part of my job is also making so that I'm accessible to our communities. And I do that with all my communities. I've been to our coffee shops with our Somali brothers and sisters and sit and have a cup of coffee. So I will continue doing exactly what I've been doing as sheriff. I'm going to continue doing as mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to close by asking you one question.
Okay.
If you are elected, what will you say you want your legacy to be as a mayor?
My legacy is going to, okay, for me, success for me is going to be bringing back our middle-class jobs, getting a living wage, and making sure that our communities are like what they were when I was a kid. Bringing the jobs to communities, making sure our schools are turning out some really good kids ready to go to work, whether it's college, work, whatever they want to do, and I can develop our communities like they were. Getting rid of these blighted homes all over the place, and making sure for once that we really have a kind of a success everywhere, not just success downtown. I want to make sure we start having success, comprehensive success, in our communities all over the city. So if I can accomplish that in say 2 terms, I would feel like I've done my job and I will be proud. And the biggest thing that I want is I want to make sure my community members, my citizens in Columbus, can say they're very proud of their mayor.
Good. Ladies and gents, that's all for tonight. I want to close by saying to my community Somalis that 18 days from now, it's election day. This is a day that we can make our mark on. We can change our future within 18 days from now. This will give us opportunity to establish a foundation for the generations to come. I would urge each individual who are qualified to vote to ballot, and at the same time, those individuals who are in the community should go out and at the same inform the other individuals who are not aware of and the different issues.
We have early vote. Don't forget it.
We do have early
1700
vote.
Morris Road
Yeah.
through the week. You can vote now.
Yes.
All right, just throw that in there.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
intaasi aynu ku dhaafno aad buu u mahadsan yahay saaxiibkay Farxaan oo waraysi la yeeshay musharaxa u ordaya duqa magaalada Columbus Zag Iskaad oo isagoo haatan ah madaxa booliska degmada Franklin waxaana uu kaga hadlay arrimo kala duwan daawadayaal waraysiga aanu la yeelanay Zag Iskaad barnaamij kale ayaanu ku falanqayn doonaa annagoo markaasina keeni doona aqoonyahano Soomaaliyeed oo iyagu markaasi aragtidooda ka dhiiban doono sida ay u arkaan waxyaabaha uu soo bandhigay Zag Iskaad dadka Soomaaliyeed waa u muhiim in doorashadan ay u soo baxaan isla markaana ay muujiyaan awoodda ama miisaanka siyaasadeed iyo arrimo bulsho ee ay ku leeyihiin magaaladan waayo waxa ay xaq u leeyihiin inay doortaan qofka ay u arkaan ama ay ku aamini lahaayeen mustaqbalkooda waxa imaan doona sharciyo cusub oo hadhow laga yaabo inaad dhibsato waxa dhici karto in arrimo badan oo haatan aadan waxba u arkin ay culays kugu noqdaan marka waa muhiim inaad u codeyso mustaqbalkaaga mustaqbalka ubadkaaga Soomaali weynay waxaan filayaa inaadan dalkan meelna uga soconin marka sidaa daraadeed waa muhiim inaad u soo baxdaan codeynta midda kale qofka si aad ula xisaabtanto marka uu arko deegaanada Soomaalida in laga codeynayo waxa ay noqonayaan dad qiimo leh oo markaasi la dhageysto si lagu dhageysto fadlan u soo bax cod bixinta qofka rabto dooro laakiin waxa muhiim ah oo qiimo leh in la arko dad Soomaali oo ku jira liisaska iyo cod bixinta iyo waliba area Soomaalida ay ku badan tahay sida looga xoreeyay sababtoo ah waxa jira shaqooyin dhinaca dawladda ah si markaasi aad u doonataan haday noqon lahayd shaqooyinka dawladda hoose ama siriga haday noqon lahayd shaqooyinka maartay booliska haday noqon lahayd shaqooyinka maartay dabdamiska haday noqon lahayd shaqooyinka arrimaha caafimaadka bulshada xafiisyada dawladda kulli hadii adiga aad iska fadhido oo aad hurudo dabcan waxaan filayaa inaysan jiri doonin cid ku dhageysata hadii aan nahay bahda Dalmar TV waxaan ku boorinaynaa shacabka Soomaaliyeed inay u soo baxaan ee ku nool dalka Mareykanka gaar ahaan magaalada Columbus cod bixintaas isla markaana ay mustaqbalkooda u codeeyaan iyo waxa ay jecel yihiin daawadayaal barnaamijkeeni sahan oo aad si toos ah uga daawataan Dalmar TV oo ah barnaamij joogto ah intaas aynu ku soo gabagabaynaynaa waxaana markaas idin kaga tageynaa anagoo isku duuban sidaas iyo nabadgelyo assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatuh halkani waa Dalmar TV